What's going on, everybody? Tanner Weidman of thebarbarianbody.com, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my top dumbbell exercises for building up that muscle mass. Without further ado, let's just get straight into it. Okay, to start off our list, I've got probably the one that I hate the most, but is definitely one of the most effective. The reason I hate it is because it's so effective and so gruesome, and that's going to be a set of the 21s. Now, how you perform the 21s is really simple. There's 3 movements, and it's a bicep movement. So the very first movement, you're going to be getting 7 repetitions of that half of a bicep curl. Immediately after you're done, you're going to begin to transition into 7 of the top half of the motion. After you're done there, this is where all hell breaks loose, and you're actually going to be getting, with both dumbbells, you're going to be performing this 7 full repetitions, bringing those dumbbells all the way up and then all the way down. Trust me, 1 to 2 sets of those, like just even that, will be incredibly tough. Let's get into the next one. Now the next exercise is going to be my favorite one for the shoulders with just a pair of dumbbells, and that's going to be a dumbbell clean and press. So all you're doing here, it's really simple, okay? So I've got my back slightly hinged here. You always want to keep your back nice and straight. You're going to use it just the slightest to help you get those dumbbells up. As soon as they're up here, you're going to transition immediately into a press, come back down, and bring those palms towards your legs. So you're going to be doing that in a continuous motion here. This one is great because it also incorporates your lower back, and it is actually pretty cardiovascularly demanding too when you get into those higher rep sets, somewhere between about 15 to 20 reps. Let's get into the next one. Okay, this next one is for all of you that are gonna ask, what dumbbell exercises can we do for abs? I've got you. So, in just a traditional sit-up position, all we're gonna do is lift that dumbbell directly overhead. Make sure you have a firm grip. It could fall if you're not grabbing it properly. It shouldn't if you're not incompetent. So, all we're doing here is actually gonna do just a crunch. Get those shoulder blades off the ground, hold for 1 to 2 seconds, and then come right back down. Up, hold for 1 to 2 seconds, and then come right back down. This is actually a really great way to start to overload those abdominal muscles in a way that you probably aren't really used to with just your traditional body weights. In addition, I did want to actually include one of my favorite dumbbell abdominal exercises. This is actually going to be responsible for mostly hitting those obliques, but you will be able to hit the lower abdominals and the upper abdominals. This one's going to be the dumbbell Russian twist. Now notice my form, my tempo here. This prevents momentum and the swinging of the body and lack of control. This keeps your abdominal muscles doing most of the work while you're performing this exercise. This one right here, if you really want to make it challenging, I suggest you actually do it for a time duration. 20 to 45 seconds, you're really going to get an abdominal burn with, yes, a single dumbbell. Now we're going to be getting into the lower body, and we're going to be performing some dumbbell goblet squats. Now you can actually do this with 2 dumbbells if you find that, a 20 isn't heavy enough for you. I know damn well it isn't heavy enough for me, I'm just demonstrating. But this is still an incredibly effective exercise. Now, while I'm performing this, I'm coming down and I like to add a little pause right here for about half of a second. This just prevents that stretch reflex from just bouncing at the bottom there. So it actually makes the exercise a lot more difficult. Trust me, your quads are gonna be in a world of pain. And as I'm lifting the weight back up, lifting my body back up, I'm actually thinking about pressing my feet into the ground so I can flex and activate my quads and make the exercise that much more effective. Next is gonna be the overhead dumbbell extensions. Now, as I always say, if you guys want big arms, you have to have big triceps. And the best way to get big triceps is by hitting the long head of the triceps. And the way you can do that is by performing this exercise. You see, when my arm's in this position, I'm getting a full stretch of that long head because the long head of the tricep actually runs through your shoulder. So when you elevate your arm up here in this position, you're able to get a full stretch. The muscle that is the most stretched is going to be the one that is going to be demanded to do the most amount of work. And for this exercise, I do prefer a rep range of about 8 to 10 repetitions. However, if you only have a lighter set of dumbbells, doing upwards to 15 to 20 will be effective. So much so that you're really going to be cursing me after you perform these because they are really painful the next day, in a good way. Now when it comes to building wider, rounder shoulders, my favorite exercise with a pair of dumbbells is going to be a lateral raise performed with a slight hinge of your back. You see, when you're performing the repetitions like this, dumbbells are coming up right here. For the most part, your anterior or your front portion of the deltoid is going to be responsible for the movement. Now, if you want to actually build that width of your shoulders and develop that roundness, we need to target the medial head of the deltoid. So what we can actually do is position ourselves on this slight hinge. Now, every time we're bringing that dumbbell up, you always want to keep it parallel to the ground. the medial head is in direct contact with gravity, meaning this is going to be the muscle that is primarily responsible with lifting the weight, as opposed to using the anterior deltoid when you're lifting the dumbbell as such. So performing those repetitions in a nice controlled manner here. I know I've got no dumbbell in the other hand, makes it a little bit awkward, but you're able to get the idea right here. Controlled position, the hinge, you don't want to be down here. It's just a nice slight hinge, and that's going to help you to actually hit that medial head of the deltoid and finally develop the width and the roundness of those deltoids. Before we go any further, we've just launched our new Netflix-style workout streaming platform. Workout programs, they're exclusive. You can just follow along. You can stream it on any platform. We're having apps come out soon, but you can try the desktop version. Link will be in the description, thebarbarianbody.com. Without further ado, let's just get in the rest of the content. Next, to hit the hamstrings and the glutes, I really love this one here, stiff-legged deadlift. So you just position the dumbbells in front of your torso, hinging your hips, you got a slight bend in those knees, bringing those dumbbells down just below the kneecap, well, a few inches down, and then coming right back up, squeeze those glutes as you're coming back up. This one right here, because of the position right down here, you're getting a really good full stretch of those hamstrings. And one thing to make sure you're always doing is keeping that lower back nice and straight all the way down. You don't want it to round down here. It's gonna put a lot of pressure on the discs in your spine. Also ensure that tempo on the eccentric and negative, what I just did right there, lowering the body weight, it's nice and controlled. This is really gonna maximize the effectiveness of this movement. Now when it comes to lower body finishers, there's no exercise I prefer more than the dumbbell swing. So all I'm doing right here is with my feet shoulder width apart, keeping that dumbbell going in between my thighs here, strictly hinging at my hips. I'm not actually squatting down there. I'm keeping my legs pretty stationary. Just hinge at the hips, flex those glutes, squeeze those glutes as the dumbbell is right about there. You don't need the dumbbell to go all the way up here. You're not keeping any tension on the legs at that point. And you're just gonna perform about 20 to 30 repetitions. This exercise is also effective for a time duration too. Really a great finisher for that lower body. And as you can hear right now, cardiovascular demanding. And because no exercise list would be complete without a chest exercise, you're gonna love this one. So what we're gonna be performing here are some pike push-ups on a set of dumbbells. We do them on the dumbbells because you're able to keep your wrist pretty neutral with the set of dumbbells, as opposed to when you're on the ground, your wrist has to get a lot of extension, which can cause discomfort in the wrist. So all you do, position your butt upwards a little bit. Now what we're gonna be doing is coming down for our count of 1, 2, 3, bring that nose to the ground, pause for half of a second, and then coming right back up. Coming down 1, 2, 3, pause, and then coming right back up. The pause is to prevent a stretch reflex. It's a dead stop. It increases the challenge level of the exercise and prevents you from breaking your nose. And also, when we're in this position, elevated butt, we're actually able to hit that upper chest, a very lagging area that a lot of guys want to hit. And the 2 to 3 seconds on the eccentric or the negative, that's to increase time under tension. Let's get into the next one. Now to hit the back, my favorite dumbbell exercise, typically I prefer to use heavier than a 20-pound dumbbell, I'm just using this to demonstrate right here, are gonna be some single arm dumbbell chainsaws. Now, you need to focus on this position that I'm in because it is really important. My right leg is a little bit staggered, a little bit further back than my left leg here, and that's just so that I have the room to bring the dumbbell up. My leg's right here, the dumbbell's gonna hit my knees, so just ensure you have that back. Next, my back, the lower back most importantly. It's straight, my butt is out. You don't want to round while you perform this exercise. You're going to be putting your spine in a bad position. So all we're focusing on doing is bring that dumbbell close towards our hip and focus on actually squeezing and contracting that upper back. You don't actually want to turn the way that I'm doing right here. I'm just doing it because of the camera. Keep your head and your shoulders parallel with the ground as you're bringing that dumbbell up. I even actually like to add in a slight iso squeeze at the top of the motion, again, so I can make the exercise that much more effective. Now another favorite of mine right here are the dumbbell deadlifts. Now, while you're performing this, you want to position your feet a little bit closer than shoulder width apart. This is just because as you're coming down right here, if your feet are shoulder width apart, your knees are going to be in the way of the dumbbells as you're bringing them up and down. With a more narrow stance, you're able to see those dumbbells glide down and glide up without hitting my legs. Now similarly with the dumbbell goblet squat, I'm gonna incorporate a dead stop at the bottom so I can remove that stretch reflex. It increases time under tension. It really makes this exercise a lot more difficult if all you've got are a pair of dumbbells. So there you guys go, as promised, my top dumbbell exercises to build muscle mass. As always, man, be sure to head on over to thebarbarianbody.com. Link will be in the description. You can try out all of my workout programs for free for 7 days. Try it out. It's on a Netflix platform. You can stream it. We're having apps come out too, dedicated to Apple and Android. Stay tuned, but in the meantime, you still can use the desktop version. It's dope. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to smash that like button down below, and also be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you'll not want to miss. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.